Welcome everyone. Let's just jump right into today's explainer. Most people when they bake, they'll just toss some orange juice or extract into a cupcake and call it a day. Boom, citrus flavor. But today, we're taking a completely different approach. We are looking at this strictly through the lens of food science. We're actually diving into some fascinating notes from the Culinary Chemist dad to show you that baking the perfect orange cupcake, well, it isn't just about casually following a recipe. It's really about intentionally engineering a complex flavor system. We're literally going to treat our ingredients as scientific variables to hit absolute perfection in both texture and taste.
So here's our quick agenda for today. First, 2 experiments, 1 fruit. Second, engineering the perfect batter. Third, the Maillard sweet spot. Fourth, flavor through osmosis. And finally, frosting and final contrast.
All right, let's kick things off with section 1. 2 experiments, 1 fruit.
Okay, we need to completely shift how we look at our primary ingredient here. Because an orange, it isn't just one thing. It's actually 2 distinct chemical actors. First, you've got the juice. The juice is primarily citric acid, right? And when that acid hits your baking powder, it triggers a massive CO2 reaction. You get bubbles, you get lift, and you get this beautifully light crumb texture. That is your leavening chemistry at work. But then you have the zest, and the zest holds all those volatile essential oils, primarily a compound called D-Limonene. Now, this is absolutely crucial because D-Limonene is the actual compound your nose recognizes as orange. But here's the catch. It is incredibly sensitive to high surface heat. It has to be protected inside the batter, not just sprinkled on top where it's going to completely bake off. If you don't treat the juice and the zest as totally different ingredients, you are basically leaving a massive amount of flavor on the table.
And that brings us to an absolute non-negotiable rule in the kitchen. Seriously, write this down. Zest before you juice. Every time. Why? Well, from a purely mechanical standpoint, once you cut that orange in half, you lose your structural grip on the fruit. If you try to zest a halved orange, you're inevitably going to end up pulling that bitter white pith right underneath the skin. That will completely ruin your delicate flavor system and make the whole thing taste like a medicinal mistake. Always, always zest the whole fruit first.
Moving right along to section 2, engineering the perfect batter. Let's stop looking at our shopping list as just food and start looking at it as structural variables. Think about how these components actually interact. We cream 1 stick of butter and a cup of sugar together until it's light and fluffy. Now that process isn't just for mixing, you are literally whipping air into the batter to build structure. Next we add eggs. Eggs are a huge player here because the lecithin inside the yolk acts as an emulsifier, permanently binding the fat from the butter with the water from the juice. And finally, we add a 1/4 cup of Greek yogurt. Think of this as your emulsification insurance. It brings additional lactic acid and incredible moisture retention to the party, all without forcing you to add any excess liquid that might throw off the entire balance of the batter.
Now this right here brilliantly illustrates the absolute secret weapon of this entire flavor system. It's called a hydrocolloid network. Before you add the orange juice to the batter, you dissolve exactly 1 teaspoon of unflavored gelatin into the warm juice and just let it bloom for 2 minutes. When baked, that hydrolyzed collagen protein forms a microscopic web inside your cupcake. And what does that do? It traps free water, meaning your baked crumb is going to stay beautifully soft 2 to 3 times longer than a normal bake. This is the exact same science behind a perfect panna cotta engineered right into your cupcake. It's a total game changer. With all of our variables set, the mechanical mixing steps become super critical. You want to emulsify your wet ingredients slowly to keep that fat and water tightly bound. Then, when it's time to combine, you must alternate. You add 1/3 of the dry, then half the wet, then dry, wet, dry. By staggering the integration like this, you actively prevent the gluten in the 2 cups of all-purpose flour from overdeveloping, because excess gluten equals a tough, chewy crumb, and we definitely want tender and soft. So the takeaway here is crucial. Whisk those dry ingredients separately. Always. You've got 2 cups of flour and 1 tablespoon of baking powder in there. You absolutely must ensure that the baking powder is perfectly and evenly distributed throughout the flour before it ever sees a single drop of moisture or citric acid, because the second it gets wet, that chemical reaction starts instantly. You don't want it happening unevenly. Okay, on to section 3, the Maillard sweet spot. Our batter is built, so now we transition over to thermal chemistry. 350 degrees Fahrenheit, not 325, not 375. A standard oven set to exactly 350 is the thermal sweet spot. Why? Because this specific temperature gives you perfect Maillard browning, that beautiful, flavorful golden crust on the top of the cupcake, without drying out the interior before the center has had time to actually set. You'll want to bake these for 18 to 22 minutes.
To gauge absolute doneness, you're going to rely on the classic toothpick test, but you have to look closely. You are aiming for a clean pull that still has a slightly moist crumb clinging to it. If you pull out wet batter, obviously it's underbaked. But if that toothpick is bone dry, that means your hydrocolloid network is already failing, you've overbaked it, and you are basically left with a dry hockey puck. You have to find that exact middle ground of moisture retention.
Let's jump to Section 4, Flavor through Osmosis.
So, we now arrive at this incredible technique that, frankly, 99% of home bakers completely skip, and that is leveraging the power of osmosis. While the cupcakes bake, you create an orange simple syrup by gently heating equal parts fresh orange juice and sugar. Osmosis is simply the scientific process where this sugar solution moves along a concentration gradient into a porous structure. By utilizing this, you're actually drawing concentrated citric acid and D-Limonene directly into the cellular level of the baked crumb. Because of this step, the final cupcake literally becomes more orange than the raw batter ever was. But listen, execution is everything here. First, you have to wait for the cupcakes to cool down until they are merely warm. A warm crumb has an open pore structure that perfectly accepts the syrup. If they are blazing hot, they'll just turn to mush. Second, dissolve, don't caramelize, the syrup until it's clear with just a slight viscosity. And finally, apply exactly one coat with a pastry brush. Don't flood it or the cupcake becomes super soggy. One even coat is all you need to get an incredible depth of flavor right into every single layer.
And finally, Section 5, Frosting and Final Contrast. We have our perfectly baked, syrup-infused base ready to go. Now we just need our final layer to engineer a much-needed chemical contrast. 45. That is the absolute minimum number of minutes your cream cheese must sit out at room temperature before you even think about turning on the mixer. This is totally non-negotiable. If you try to mix cold cream cheese, you are going to create these tiny, stubborn little lumps that literally no amount of friction or extended mixing will ever smooth out. Once your cream cheese is properly softened, you build the topping. You take that room temp cream cheese, powdered sugar, more of that protected orange zest we talked about, and just a splash of juice so the frosting holds a stiff peak without slumping over. When you pipe this into a small dome, the lactic tang of the cream cheese perfectly cuts right through the sweetness of the syrup-soaked cupcake sitting below it. And finally, you garnish it with one exceptionally thin, translucent slice of orange laid just slightly off-center. Now that slice isn't just a pretty decoration. It acts as an honest signal to whoever eats it that real fresh fruit was engineered into this bake.
So by protecting your volatile essential oils in the batter, trapping moisture with a gelatin hydrocolloid network, pulling flavor deep into the crumb via osmosis, and then balancing the whole thing with a tangy dairy contrast, you didn't just bake a cupcake, you built a highly engineered flavor system. And honestly, that is the true beauty of intentional cooking. It's about understanding the chemistry so you can make things incredible on purpose, not just by accident. So I'll leave you with this final thought. The next time you step into the kitchen, are you just going to blindly follow a list of instructions, or are you ready to become the architect of your own flavor system?